Hey, hey, it's Celia here for our Friday live stream. I'm super excited to be here with you today and to give you some value and some actionable takeaways that you can use. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And yeah, just say hi. Let me know. I know I get a lot of watchers and viewers. This live stream gets blasted out to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So thank you so much for being a supporter of the live streams. Your engagement and your comments helps this content to get in front of more people. The algorithm loves engagement, likes, thumbs up, comments, etc. So really, number one, when you engage, it lets me know that you're getting value from this. And number two, it gets the information out in front of more people like you who will get value and benefit from it. So it's a gift that keeps giving, and you pay it forward as well as a thank you to me for giving you this free information. So if we haven't met, I'm Celia Fate Meisel. I'm a revenue acceleration coach and consultant. I have an expertise in high ticket sales, both on the coaching and the consulting side, B2B and B2C. My clients and projects that I've supported in the last few years have done close to $13 million in sales. My last calculation, we're at 12.95 million. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And over the next couple of months in 2024, that number is going to continue to grow. My big mission is to impact $1 billion of sales in my lifetime. That is my big mission. So thank you so much again for tuning in. So let's dive in and talk about this really powerful topic. I'm really excited because lately I've been on this, tear trend with just kind of calling out some things in the industry when we are doing business online in whatever fashion that we're doing it. The one of the gifts and the curses of being online is we have access to all this information, but then we also have access to all this information and all these ideas and all of this input from all these people, and everybody is like, my method works, my service works, you got to do this, you got to do that. And so I've just been really looking at debunking some of the things that come up in marketing and that we see, and products that were sold that we think that we need, that actually kind of keep us in a trap of limited thinking, of limited access, et cetera, et cetera. And so I want to open up some doors for you in your thinking and in what you see as possible so that you can start to make some shifts in your business this year. And of course, if you want support, you want help with that, I'll make an invitation to connect with me further at the end of this live stream. So here is really what I see is the industry creates problems, the marketing, sales, all of it, it creates problems that we think that we need solutions for. It's like, here's a prime example. Oh my gosh, I see quizzes are working really well. I don't have a quiz. A quiz must be the reason that I'm not getting leads. So now I'm going to go focus on this tactic of building a quiz funnel and hoping that the quiz funnel is going to be the thing that gets people through, because quizzes are really popular and trendy and all of that. So that's one example where there is a tactic or a strategy that's used and that we think we need that in order to solve a problem in our business, whether it's leads, whether it's sales. Those are the two common things, operations. And so it just gets us into a limited thinking around how we're solving for our business, because there's always going to be challenges that are coming up, but is that thing really what I need to solve for right now? And is this tactic, or is this approach? So these are reflection questions that you could ask yourself when you're contemplating whether or not you're going to purchase or invest in something, especially when it's a very specific thing. Does my ideal client or customer, will they resonate with this model and with this thing that I put in the business? Is it going to actually help me? And then how does it fit into the greater ecosystem of what I'm doing in my company right now? And these types of questions and this type of contemplation is really what determines an immature business owner from a mature business owner. And so we can be mature business owners and still have immature thinking around different areas of our companies, right? It's just parts of our thinking and our approach and our strategy that need to be leveled up. So the quiz funnel is one example, but really any funnel, okay? Like anything that you're going to do that you're going to build out, you want to look at like how it serves the greater purpose of your business and then making sure that you have the resources. But even higher level than that, okay, so let me take a step back. So now because I've exposed that how the industry sells us things that we think that we need. So it essentially creates problems for us that we think that we need to solve and then like have it by this tactic. And so it'll be like, you have this problem that you need more leads. Well, if you had a quiz funnel or you had insert this thing, it would be easier. But we know like that it's more than just that, right? Because we have to get the messaging and the offer and like the avatar alignment, all of those pieces like need to flow into place. And the offer has to be right for all of that stuff to actually work. And I think that's where a lot of business owners get trapped in this sort of like tactical thinking. And I'll get calls with like really brilliant business owners. And they're like asking me, well, how much do I charge for this? And how much do I charge for that? And just like very like tactical questions that it's like, okay, those are all great questions, but these questions aren't actually like doing anything for your customer. Like whether you raise the price by $1,000 or not actually like doesn't, it's not like a make or break for your customer usually, especially when you're selling high ticket. $1,000 isn't 10,000 bucks, 20,000, 100,000 bucks. Yeah. Now we're like getting into some distinctions between, avatars, but a few $1,000s, a few $100s is not enough to split a hairs over and like make a big thing about. And so when I hear somebody asking questions like that, it's no judgment. It just tells me that you're focused like more on the tactical and you're not really seeing the big picture things. And you're thinking that like things like nuance in your price is what's going to make a huge difference in converting more people over. And that's actually not what's going on, because like when you have your positioning is really great and how you're showing up with your offer and who you're talking to and what you're solving for, when that all is in alignment, people will pay much higher price for it, like without blinking an eye. Like I can sell 5-figure packages that are like a really low time commitment for me, like very easily, because the package fit and the ideal client fit are like a perfect match, right? And I'm solving for something very specific that they need that help with. Okay, so with all of that said, let's dive in now to really looking at like what's going on in the industry and how you can actually like open up a door to work with more clients and receive more leads and more opportunities. So have you heard in marketing, like there's the customer journey, right? Where somebody is like, they are unaware and they move to like problem aware and they look to solution aware, right? And these are like the ready now buyers. Industry averages will say that that's around like 3% of people, okay? 3% of people will fall into that like solution awareness. Okay, so these might be your people that, number one, like they're booking into your calls. They're like actually booking onto your calendar and having calls with you to like learn about your products or services, or you're having conversations with them, and like, so say you meet them at networking or you're meeting them online or whatever, and they're like actively seeking. You might get people that are kind of like shopping around, right? So they're like actively looking for solutions, okay? Because they've self-identified that they have a problem, probably through different marketing content. So, an example for me would be like somebody that like they think they need more sales training. They think that like their sales script isn't very good, right? So they've heard like different marketers and sales experts kind of like diagnose to them like the problems that they have for why things might not be working in their business on the sales side. And so now they're out there like shopping around for solutions based on their self-diagnosed problem that they have, okay? And so someone like that, they may be interviewing like 3 or 4 or 5 different coaches, right? Because they're like trying to find the right solution. And then you have people that are like, they're kind of looking around, but then they book a call on your calendar because like your values and your authenticity and like what you stand for in your marketing is like really resonating with them, right? And then when you have people in that problem awareness space where they're before that, it's like they're just getting to the point where they know that they have a problem and they're like trying to figure out what the problem is, right? So that's like, okay, well, my sales aren't converting. So like, let me start to like research and investigate what's going on, right? So those people will move from the problem aware to the solution aware. And that's where a lot of marketers and business coaches are really training us, right? The collective online business community, that's really where they're training us to kind of hang out with our marketing. Okay. So essentially, like everybody is kind of competing for like the same 3% of actively engaged, like, problem aware, solution aware type leads. Okay. And that's where all the fear, like around the economy comes in, all the fear around AI comes in. Like, yeah, like all that worrying, sort of that scarcity mindset comes from like, we have this limited pool. So like, what is the math? Actually, my calculator won't even type in 8 billion. So like, if you're watching this live stream and you want to calculate like 3% of 8 billion people on the planet, and let's say 4 billion people are even like in our, let's say half because we've got children and stuff, say rough estimate, like 2 billion people or 4 billion people are like active customers or active buyers, right? And you got 3% of that, and you divide that by all the businesses across the planet, and you can come up with this like crazy number that that gives us like some kind of idea about the number of potential clients that we could actually serve. Okay, that would be like a fun math thing to do. Maybe I'll make a spreadsheet for it sometime. I don't know. But anyway, you get the picture that it's like you've got, I think that in 1 month, what was it, like January 2022, like 400,000 new businesses opened up, or like the massive amount of new businesses and startups that are opening up every month and every week since the pandemic, especially, has just become exponential, right? So then there's like, oh my gosh, like it's so noisy and there's so many people, right? Just like all that blah, 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 blah. We hear that. And then our ego is like, well, oh crap. What am I going to do? How am I going to stand out? Right. So that's where like, oh my gosh, I have to get the quiz. I have to do the thing. Like I have to do what everybody else is doing. And so this is where like innovation comes in. And this is really where the power is. So we've got this 3%, a problem aware, solution aware, that everybody's kind of competing for, right? And then what happens when the door is opened to, let's say, another 10%, 20%, 50%, 70% of the marketplace that isn't even problem aware or solution aware? But they're out there. They're on your LinkedIn profile. They're around you. They're messaging you. They're they're in your orbit and they're in your sphere. They're on your email list, but like, they're not buying anything. Like, sure, maybe they follow you because they like you and they think you're cool. Like they opted in for something. They came to your event. They met you in a networking. They were on your podcast. You were a referral or a connection. You showed up in their, the algorithm showed you their profile, right? So you get all these people that are kind of like hanging around, and they're not even investing in a service like yours at all. Okay. So these people aren't in the 3%. They're essentially in like a 97% pool of everybody else. So when you get out of that thinking of trying to like put your service against everybody else in the market, every other competitor in your niche, or every other competitor in your industry, or every other competitor in general, right? And you start to look at it in a different lens, it's like, whoa, like a whole lot more opportunity just opened up, right? I better have a scalable offer. Like I better be able to handle the lead flow, and like all of those things come in. We start to think about what's possible when we step into that market of like that 97%. But even like conservatively, let's say you open up another 10% or 20% of the market, and you essentially have people that are you're competing against nothing, because they are not actively looking for services. They're not problem aware. Now, where this is contrary to the industry is that all of the marketing is showing us, the majority of it, of the guru and the big box marketing and sales, they're teaching us how to compete in the, quote unquote, red ocean. They're teaching us how to go against everybody else. And everybody's kind of using the same tactics to go for that same pool of buyers. So then we have like the relationship builders, right? Like, And I'm a relationship, like build the relationship, And so eventually, like maybe you get some people that they're in your world and they'll eventually cycle into that 3% that's ready to buy. That's kind of like what the hope is for the relationship based kind of marketing and sales is let's hope they eventually get to that point where they're in that 3%. And then if your audience is big enough and you have a reach big enough that you're going to have enough people that are kind of like popping in and like raising their hand every month and like wanting to get on calls and calendar and all of that. Okay. And so but we're still kind of competing in that same 3% using the marketing that everybody else is teaching us to use. The same tactics that everybody is teaching us else to use. And so we're still just in that like really what's called the competitive plane. And I know that this was shown to me because I've been working with the science of getting rich and stepping into, what Wallace Wattles calls the creative plane, where you're not operating in that way that all of the competitors are. Like you've heard it before, like become an industry of one and all of those things that idealistically they sound great. But if you're still using like competitive tactics that put you into the pool of everybody who's competing for that same 3%, it actually doesn't do anything for your business, right? So how do you step out of that? Like that's the big question, is how do you step out of that? So the first question to really explore is why people are actually hiring you. I was on a call last week with someone, we were diving into that, and they're like, well, I think it's because of this, and I think it's because of this. And I'm going to tell you that your normal marketing expert, your marketing, business coaching, sales worksheets, exercises that are going to give this to you are going to have you thinking about this in the way that we're going for that 3% of active buyers. Okay. So we're basically like putting ourselves into that competitive realm. But when we really zoom out and say, well, why do people hire me? What are they solving for? Why do people hire me and what are they solving for? Okay. So you're going to say, well, they have this problem and this problem and this problem. So the truth is that top of mind problem marketing is what pulls us into that 3%. Now I've skyrocketed my sales before using these techniques where I was doing the top of mind problem and all of that. And we can definitely use it and definitely works. But if you want to like massively scale and you want to do it organically, you want to do paid, you want to do both, you have to address like what exactly that you're solving for with people and how your business uniquely does that and what circumstances people are trying to get out of in order to reach their next level. There's some kind of outcome, right? So like we know that people buy transformations, that they buy results, that they buy outcomes. And so we know like don't sell the 12 weeks of coaching, don't sell the tactics, don't sell the process and all of that because people don't care. And that's true. Like we don't have to lead with that, but it's like these outcomes that people want, right? And we're taught to position the outcomes and the transformations, but there's something deeper here with it's not just the problem that people have. It's like the life circumstances that are creating the problem. That is like a basic of thought work. If you've ever done any kind of thought work with either the law of the mind or, where thoughts become actions and actions like become results in our lives. Like that's the really simple way of putting it. And so it's like, when people are thinking a certain way and then they're acting in a certain way, it's creating a circumstance for them. And so then they're trying to solve for that circumstance. So it's a very innovative way of looking at business and revenue generation, because what we're doing is we're saying we're going to step out of the competitive plane. We're going to go into the creative plane and we're going to start to look at things unconventionally, because maybe what I'm competing with isn't another life coach. And maybe what I'm competing with isn't another sales coach. And maybe what I'm competing with isn't something else. Maybe it's non-traditional things that the industry is telling me that I'm competing against, right? Because like the thing is I've had people that didn't hire me because they chose to go to like a bigger, quote unquote competitor. And I've had people that went to the competitor and then came and hired me because like working with the competitor didn't solve their problem. Okay. And then they finished with me and they went to someone else because they're continually looking for that solution of that specific circumstance. And this is where the true innovation happens. And this is why I have completely shifted my offers. I still have my coaching and consulting offers, and I have some new offers that really solve to specific circumstances. So for example, I have a partner where we're coming in and we're essentially doing lead gen and sales from a coaching and consulting standpoint, because we know that our clients are burned out and tired of models of big box, big guru coaches. What they're being taught isn't really resonating with them, but they've grown their businesses successfully. They're kind of burned out with like the agency model. Like they want to have in-house teams. They want to bring things more in-house. They want to cut costs. They want things to be easier. They want repeatability, trustworthiness, all of that stuff with their providers and their vendors that they work with. And so they want to get in-house pieces in place and add another $50,000 to $100,000 a month in their revenue in a very easy, joyful, authentic way. Like they really want it to feel good and feel fun. And they have a scalable offer, usually a rolling enrollment group program, or a consulting offer that is very scalable because it's highly systemized. And then they want to really ramp up the lead flow. But what's going on is they're in that point where they're marketing themselves with that 3%, and they're essentially kind of competing against everyone else. And that's not where the riches happen, right? The riches happen in this other area. So you might get lucky and like strike gold and like, have a pop in sales, and then it's inconsistent and you can't figure out why. Well, this is why, because you're constantly putting yourself into that box of that active 3% of people that are looking to buy right now. So when you can really look at, these are the points, is like why people hire you specifically. What are the problems? What are the circumstances that they're trying to solve for? Why do people hire you? What are the actual circumstances that they're trying to solve for? And get out of the problem, the problem type of language and thinking about the top of mind problems and the topical problems, and go more into the circumstance and get deeper into understanding your ideal clients. You're going to step into a whole new level. Okay. So this is super powerful and something for you to really contemplate, because it's not your normal thinking, but it's innovation and it's works. And this is actually the strategies that really big companies use to skyrocket their businesses, outside of the coaching and consulting industry. But the Covey brands, I can't remember what Covey rebranded to, but the Covey training brand uses this. They do 9 figures in annual revenue on repeat, multiple 9 figures. American Girl dolls companies, before they sold to Mattel, they were doing over 500 million a year. You've got product-based brands that'll do this. You've got service-based brands. So this is like true innovation thinking that puts you into a new realm of possibility in your business. And there's other components to this as well on the service delivery side. So this is another part where the industry really does us a disservice, where it's sort of like, just figure it out and just like put the offer out there. And then what you end up having is you have these people with like really dysregulated nervous systems, and like they're not really happy with their businesses because all they've done is like focus on like this marketing and sales hamster wheel of just getting customers and clients and blah, blah, that they haven't really dealt with like the operation side of making sure that the offer like really like solves for that circumstance and really working out the kinks. And this is where like Toyota is a great example of how, the Toyota way and lean thinking and, Six Sigma and all of that, where on the process side, all of the kinks have been worked out for things to be like super optimized. And this is something that I love to do. So really taking like the marketing and the sales and the delivery and the operations and the scalability. And that's why my whole framework is sell, systemize, sell, simplify, and scale, is because we can really like clean things up and make it so easy. And you could have such a successful business and be making all the money that you want and working with amazing clients in a very simple way. But it just requires you stepping out and being innovative in your own self. So if this resonated with you, I do invite you to schedule a free 45-minute revenue acceleration call with me. Just DM me the word accelerate, and we will get you scheduled up with that. And until next time, let me know what your top takeaways are. We covered a lot of ground. This was awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Celia Faye Meisel, Revenue Acceleration Coaching Consultant.